Hey Digital Makers, Christina here from the Raspberry Pi Foundation team. Thank you for joining us this week for Digital Making at Home. As you may have already seen, this week's theme is Build the Web. So today we're going to be building the internet. Just kidding, we're not really going to be building the internet, but we're going to learn how it works and we're going to understand how a web page works. So we're going to be doing our Sunrise project, which is an HTML and CSS project. These are two coding languages that are used to build web pages. So let's jump right in. All right, so we're here at projects.raspberrypi.org. This is our library of over 200 projects where you can explore coding and digital making. If you click here on Browse All Projects, you'll get to see that you can filter by topic, hardware, software, or level. I'm going to use a short link to get to our Sunrise project, which you can follow along. Just go to rpf.io/dm-sunrise. So this is going to take us to the project page. So our projects page are all organized in the same way. Title and coding language up in the top left corner. There's also a print icon, so you can print these projects if that is helpful for you. Then on the right, you'll see top right corner, you can change the language of the project. So definitely, if English is not your first language, see if your language is here, or make sure to email us. If you don't see your language here, we'd love to hear from you so we can work with our translation team to get our projects into as many languages as possible. Here on the left side, you'll see basically kind of our table of contents. These are the steps that we're going to walk through to make this right here our CSS, our animated sunrise using CSS. So we're going to be using Trinket. If you are a parent or an online club leader, if you're leading an online club, maybe virtually or in person, definitely check out the notes and the materials if that's helpful for you. And I'm going to jump in. What I love is we have our project information here on the left. So these are the steps we're going to be going through. We're going to be creating the sun first, then animating the sunrise, then doing a challenge of the diagonal animation and the infinite animation. So what I'll mainly do today is I'm just going to do the sunrise animation that you see here. I encourage you to try out the other elements and I can show you where to get that information. So let's jump in to creating the sun. So we're going to be using Trinket. And what I love about our projects is they always have a link for us to get to the project if it's an external site. So here, this link here is going to open up Trinket. Okay, so we are on Trinket, which is an all-in-one coding environment. This is great for education, and it's a great tool for students and teachers to use. It's free, and for this project, you can just code along with me. You don't need to make an account. If you want to save it, you do need to make an account, or you just need to save the link, which is up here at the top. So you need to hold on to that link if you want to go back to your project. So you'll see here our project already has some pre-written code. We like to do that at the Raspberry Pi Foundation with our starter projects, especially beginner projects, so you can jump right into the fun stuff. We have 3 tabs here, an HTML tab, a CSS tab, and a JavaScript tab. We are only going to be working with the first 2 tabs. That third tab, the JavaScript tab, that code is to make sure this code works in all different browsers. Feel free to check it out. We're not going to be, it's a lot of code there. We're just going to be working on HTML and CSS and working on the animation. So a couple things I'm going to do is I'm going to change some settings. So feel free to copy or keep settings as what works for you. So you'll see that we have this pre-written code and we're going to explore the HTML and the CSS. The code that we have here right now is what's giving us this light blue at the top and this dark blue at the bottom. Now, it's kind of small, so I'm going to zoom in. I can do that by clicking on the top left and going down to the bottom of this menu, there's font size. So I'm going to make it big so we can all see it together. Another setting I'm going to change is this setting here is how my code will run. So right now it's on auto run. So anytime I put something in, it'll just automatically run my code. I'm going to actually put it on click to run so that it's not changing so often. Okay. So what we're going to do is we have here, I'm going to go back to the project. So we're going to be starting with the step of creating the sun. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the project in another window. What I would encourage you to do is, if you have an additional screen, to move the project tab there, or to split it up and have both tabs open on your screen. I'm just going to be on the Trinket tab so it's easy for you to follow along with me. So first thing we are going to need to do is we're going to add in our sun. So we're going to go ahead and look at the body here of our HTML code. We have this those first lines 1 through 6. This code is connecting all of our code together. You'll see style.css is right here, line 4, and then you'll see prefix free.js, that's right here on line 5, and that's connecting those pieces of code together. So let's move to the body section, and here we have a div tag. And so a div tag defines a division or a section in an HTML document. So here we're seeing that we have one for sky, and then we have one for the sea. And so what we've done is we already have the sun, like image, is already uploaded. So we're going to just be able to type in that code. So let's go ahead here. I'm going to go to line 10, click enter, and then indent. I'm going to type in this line of code here. And I'm going to be using what am I using? Okay, hold on. I'm opening back here. All right, let's go ahead and put it in IMG ID. So angle bracket, then ID equals sun. And then source. So this is telling the computer where to find our sun image. And this image that we're pulling was already part of the project when you opened up this Trinket project. Okay, so we got that code in. Let's go ahead and run. Oh, great. Okay, the sun is massive right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our CSS tab. So HTML, hypertext markup language, that's the code that brings in the content. And if you've ever made a website or check out some of our other projects, that's where you would type like the copy, like, hello, my name is Christina, or where you would add the image. Then the CSS, cascading style sheets, the hint there is style, that's what your code or what it's going to look like. So this is where we're going to go to change the size of our sun. All right, so we are going to add in some code here to change the height of our sun. Now you'll see here that we have code here starting on line 9 that is for our sky. We have it for our sea, and you'll see that this code here, the pound sign, the hashtag sign with the word sky, this is referencing the ID. So if we go back to HTML, we'll see the ID of the sky. Now remember, we also did that for the sun. So we're going to make another section like that is going to refer back to the ID for the sun. So what we're going to do similarly, I'm just going to scroll down underneath the sea, do a new line on line 24. And I put my code in for the height. 100 pixels. What's great is I just have to put the height. It's automatically going to update the width for the sun, which is great. I'm going to click to run. Awesome. So now we're going to add some code to position the sun. So position absolute, and then we're going to use top 0, and then left 40%. Great. So let's run that. Awesome. Okay, our code is working. So we've just completed the step that was creating the sun. I'm now going to move to the next step, if you're following along on the project page, to the animating the sunrise. So to animate our sunrise, we're going to need to define how the sun moves and how long it takes to rise. And we're going to do that by defining a list of keyframes. So we're going to need to add some more code in. We're going to use keyframes to create an animation. Right now we just have images. So let's go ahead. I'm going to scroll down and add in a new line of code. At keyframes sunrise. Put in and then 100%. And this code is going to tell the sun where to position itself at the start of our animation, which is indicated by the 0, and then at the end of our animation, which is indicated by 100. So think about it as 0% of the time, and then at 100% of the time that it's completed, that's what we want to happen. Now, because the sun is inside the sky div tag, let me show you here. Remember when we added the sun in, the sun here, line 11 on my page. Remember, I just want to make sure your lines where my code is doesn't have to be the same, okay? I'm just using that to reference it. But here, the sun is inside this, is inside the sky. So where our sun can move and be animated is only within the sky. So that's something to think about in terms of just spatial awareness. So we've created the sunrise, like we've created the animation. So now we want to tell our sun how to use it. So we're going to go here and we're going to add in right under line 28 for me. I'm going to add in a new line of code that is going to say animation sunrise 10s, which is 10 seconds. So I'm saying that I want my animation to be 10 seconds. And I'm going to put here at line 33, I'm going to tell the computer where I want the sun image to be. So at 0%, so at the beginning, at the start of the animation, I want it to be at the top, 90%. And then I'm going to put in here where I want it to end, top 0. So let's see what that code does. Fingers crossed, hopefully it works. So I'm going to go ahead and click to run. Okay, all right, so I have my sun rising up from the center of the screen and moving up all the way to the top. Perfect. Now feel free to pause this video if you want to play with the numbers. Definitely play with the code, play with the numbers, see what happens if you change them up. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to actually try and make this a diagonal animation. Okay, so the diagonal animation is actually a challenge. So we're going to figure this one out together. On the project, it gives us a hint. It says that we can use the left property to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, on line 33, I'm going to add in left. I'm going to add in 0. We're going to see what happens when I do that. Let's click to run. Okay, great. So by adding in that left, I've now given more information to where I want the sun to be. And here we have it that our sun is moving from this location here to this location here. Now this is, I can decide, let's play around with this and see what happens. So if I put this at 20, let's see what that looks like. Okay. So you see that it's a little bit over more to the left. And, oh, and then it moves over. So I wanted to end at that location. So something, just a hint, if you skip to the next step, the infinite animation, you'll see some of the code there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make I'm actually going to go ahead and move into that section. So the infinite animation section gives us a little bit more code to get our sun. We're going to have it rise and we're going to have it set. So we're going to add more keyframes. So right now we just have from 0 to 100. What happens is the computer just figures out how to go from location 0 to the location at the end. But if we add in some more keyframes, which we can do here, I'm going to tell the computer where I want the sun to be at 0. And then I also have to tell the computer where I want the sun to be at 33% of the time, and then at 66%. So I'm going to add in some more code now because I'm going to try and make the sun. I just had I'm going to had it rise over here in this corner, and I want it to set in the opposite corner. So feel free to pause the video and try and figure this out. And when you come back, hopefully I'll have figured it out. All right, So if you're gonna continue and stay with me, I'm gonna try here. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna have this be top 0. Because this actually should be the same what I had before for the for this line. I'm actually going to keep this. I'm going to use that same because that's where I want it to be at that point, and then I want it to set. So I'm going to have here, I'm going to use, it's going to go from top, let me see, where's, oh, there we go. I'm going to have that same code here, and then have it move. So I want it to end at top, this is going to be 90. And I'm going to have this be 80 because I want it all the way on the other side. I basically want it to double where it was here. So let's see if that works. Okay, we've risen. Are we going to set? It's not setting. What are we missing? Okay, so we've got top, we've got left. Ooh, do you see what we're missing? I see what we're missing. Does anyone see it? I forgot my brackets. So I need to add a bracket here to line 34 and add a bracket here to line 35. Now let's run it. So we've got our sun going up. Is our sun going to go down? Ooh, okay, sun still isn't going down. We're missing, oh, the sun did go down. Ha, okay. So that makes sense because it's taking 10 seconds to run our animation. So this happens in the first 33% of the time. So like the first probably 33 seconds, not 33 seconds, the first like 3 seconds. Then there's kind of a pause and then it sets. So awesome. So now what we can do is we can add in some more. So I'm gonna move to the next step, or the next section is, this section is about infinite animation. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to add in a line that I'm going to make this in infinite animation. We're going to add in basically a loop. So we're going to add infinite right here in the animation to make it a loop, forever loop. Okay. At the right location? I believe so. So let's run it. So now this should just keep running over the course of 10 seconds. So now it's going to set and then it's going to just restart. Awesome. Okay. So we've got an infinite animation. So I'm going to move over to the next section of animating the sky. All right. So when we talk about animating the sky, we're talking about animating the colors. So to do that, we are going to be adding you're using keyframes to add a new animation called sky. So I'm going to add that code. I'm actually going to do it right under sky in our CSS. So this is line 16 for me. Keyframes, sky. So I'm adding this animation. And then adding in similar code to what we did before. So similarly, I'm telling the computer, hey, this is what I want the sky to look like at this point in time. So then we also have to give the time. So we're gonna add this here to line 14. So I'm adding animation, sky, 10 seconds, okay? And then we are going to add in the colors that we want. So at 0%, at 0 time, I want the background color to be black because it is dark outside. And then at 100%, so at the end, at 10 seconds, I want the background to be light blue. Okay. And I'm copying this code from the animating the sky step. So let's run it. And what we should see, okay, we're seeing, all right. Oh, this is great. So our animation is working. Now our sun should set. Okay. So now I encourage you to take this project, and we've got 2 challenge suggestions. We have the challenge of improving the sky. So you'll see that on the projects page. If we go to improve the sky. Thinking about, okay, we have it starting with dark. Well, when the sun sets, it's also dark. So what does that look like? Then also there's the challenge of more animation. So this gives you more information on how you can add in some more images. Because remember, with the introduction, the example I showed you, we had a sun, but we also had a rainbow, we also had a boat. So next steps are for you to try and add in more animation to your project. So I am excited to see what you add in there. And as always, we love seeing what you create. So once you're done with your animation, share it with us. Head on over to rpf.io/home. There you can share your projects, you can give us feedback, you can ask us questions. We love hearing from you. So have fun with the animation, and I can't wait to see what you create this week. Bye!